Um, Before I went into rehabs, it was very lonely. I sort of did drugs mainly on my own, mainly when I was stressed and trying to deal with emotions. Same with alcohol, probably used it to deal with emotions and stressful times. Mostly did it on my own, sometimes with friends, but and it sort of eventually dragged me down to where didn't have much food in the fridge, hardly paying, only just paying rent or not paying rent, and just going to work to try to pay for the drugs. That's about it. It was a pretty sad life. It was sort of just after COVID, and had a few hiccups during COVID, which was a shame. But sort of ended up in a psych ward for a month, becoming homeless and jobless at the same time. It was a bit of a shock to the system and to the family as well. So I've been to 2 rehabs before. The first one I relapsed while I was in the rehab, and then the second one physically was too hard. It was another Christian rehab, and when I left it, the manager there was really good. He said, "Look, when you leave here, it doesn't mean that God's not going to chase you." And I sort of had a list of 5 plans that I was going to do. I was going to call different rehabs and different places to go and live. And 180TC wasn't on them. And 180TC was on a list of rehabs that I got from a STIM clinic in St Vincent's Hospital. And all the other options just shut down. I didn't have a hope. I had to keep on calling back, and there was nothing foreseeable in the future. So I was about a month out of the rehab, and I was getting a bit desperate. And I called 180TC, and Andrew sort of described what happens and what the program's like. Going to church twice a week. And I sort of said, yeah, if you can organise it, and I was in the next week. So it's pretty quick. So it's, I guess, it was meant to be.
Sure. Tell us what your first impressions were in Yarramundi.
So the other rehabs I'd been into was one we had about a maximum of, I had probably 8 people to deal with. It went to a maximum of 16. And the second rehab was only one other resident, or maybe 2 other residents actually while I was there. So coming into a rehab with 30 guys, and also having to share a bedroom, it's like, I haven't shared a bedroom with anyone since I was 10. So that was a eye-opener, and then 30 other personalities living with them. It's like, yeah, that's interesting. Driving up the dirt road was bad enough. That wasn't as bad as the previous rehab, because the previous rehab you drive on the dirt road for about an hour, but driving up the dirt road and just seeing a bunch of guys there, it's like, wow, this is huge. And then just the anxiety when you walk in and then you got Ray and Mitch bouncing off each other. It's like, whoa, which one's crazier? It's probably the whole time I've been here is actually dealing with personalities, dealing with conflict. I couldn't handle conflict too well. Not being able to get away from people, not getting away from situations. So you had to stay and face the situations. You couldn't go down the road, go to a park and calm down, go and have a drink. You just had to deal with the guys sometimes just not stopping. Mainly dealing with some of the mental issues that come up as well. So anxiety and having challenges put through to you by the caseworker or the psychologist to not walk away from things. Because that wasn't easy. Highlights, I'd say, is weird as it says. I think we got locked up with about half the community with COVID, and some of the guys that we had some fun on the nights there playing cards, and from that, being locked up with COVID, we got a Bible study going, which was really good guys. The other one was getting water baptised, but it was more or less the guys that found me afterwards to pray with me after the baptism. The guys from Connect, 4 or 5 of the guys just grabbed me afterwards, and I was soaking wet and cold, and they prayed for me. And having the baptism done on Easter Sunday was awesome. Some of the other things is just, some of the friends are here, some of them are superficial, but some of them are in depth, and they're the ones that count. Really good. And some of the staff as well, obviously.
Any other highlights for you and your casework or your caseload maybe?
The only other highlight, which is really good, was taking the caseload to have meat pies occasionally. For you guys who haven't tried it yet, South Windsor meat pies, the best in New South Wales.
What does life after 180TC look like for you?
I haven't got a full picture of what life is like after 180TC, but I do know that at the moment it's looking like Hillsong College. It's looked like doing something with a purpose. At the moment it's an uncertainty, but I'm not worried about it. I'm pretty at peace with where things are going. I know I do have a couple of job offers coming up. I'm getting more and more excited about Hillsong College being a challenge, but it should be interesting.
That's good. What is your final encouragement for the community?
I think 2 things. One is, Kieran told our caseload once that while you're here, even if you don't want to be here, look for something positive that you can take with you. It's not something like negative, like I don't want to do drugs anymore. It's got to be something to aim for, like I want a clean life, or I want to have a family, and what that looks like. And then use 180TC to get to what that positive outcome is. The guys here, the staff members, the doctors, the psychologists, they're not your enemies. They're here to help you. You need a team of people to get over addiction. You need doctors, you need nurses, you need psychiatrists, psychologists, caseworkers, just grad students and mates, and someone to mentor. Find them someone that means something. It's not a mate that you can, it is a mate you can sit down and laugh with, but it's also a mate that can ask you questions that you need to learn. You need to know that you can talk about anything with them. And if you don't find that, you'll get lost when you leave.
And last question, what has 180TC taught you about yourself, Glen?
Probably the first thing is that in the Bible, in Matthew 5:22, I think it is, the first gospel, Jesus says that you can't call anyone, you can't insult anyone by calling him Raka, R-A-C-A, which means in the Bible dictionary, worthless. It's the only time that he says don't call someone a name. And I think everyone that comes into or out of addiction needs to realise that their life's worth it. They can build a good life and have a good life. And that's probably the second stage of the stage work is self-image. I think that's what's got me on the path. Come in and do the program. If you don't believe in a God, that doesn't matter. Come in and put your effort into the program. It'll work. If you do believe with God, it'll sort of turbocharge your rehab. And I guess another scripture that sort of got me on the road is, I think this is Mark 5, something like 22. That's where Josias is is taking Jesus to heal his daughter, and he's on the road, and Jesus just says, "Don't be afraid, just believe. Don't be afraid, just come in. You need to take the 12 months to get a life. I did the 12 months late in my life. Do it a lot younger than me." That's all I can say.